When people talk about the US-Mexico border, they usually picture a massive wall, barbed fences, and patrol guards. But what most people don't realize is that much of this border isn't land at all. It's a river. This is the Rio Grande, a river that has been a source of life, culture, and survival for millions of people on both sides. But today, that same river is disappearing. Once wide and wild, this river has been downsized to a point where in some places, it's hardly even recognizable. So what happened here? How did one of the most important rivers in the American Southwest end up like this? To truly understand what's at stake, we need to follow the river upstream. Because the Rio Grande story doesn't begin at the border. It begins high in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado, where snowmelt from alpine peaks gathers into a stream so cold and clear, you can still see the stones beneath the surface. That's where the Rio Grande is born, nearly 12,000 feet above sea level. From there, it starts its long descent south. It cuts through mountain gorges, winding across desert plains, slipping past towns, cities, indigenous pueblos, and massive farms. In the upper Rio Grande, it moves through the high-altitude valleys of Colorado and northern New Mexico. But by the time it reaches near Albuquerque, things start to change. Here, the river is controlled, diverted, and managed. Water is rerouted to feed irrigation ditches, golf courses, and city homes. This is where the fight begins between what's natural and what's necessary. Then comes the lower Rio Grande, the most contentious stretch of all, the place where the river becomes a border and not just a water source. Altogether, the Rio Grande supports more than 6 million people. It waters millions of acres of farmland, it shelters endangered species, sustains fragile ecosystems, and has long been sacred ground for indigenous communities on both sides. But today, that lifeline is breaking. So, what happened exactly? To understand, we need to go back to 1906, when the US and Mexico signed their first water-sharing agreement. Under this agreement, the US promised to deliver 60,000 acre-feet of water each year to Ciudad Juarez, and in return, Mexico wouldn't interfere upstream. Then came the 1944 Treaty, a much larger deal that covered not just the Rio Grande, but the Colorado River as well. Under it, Mexico agreed to deliver an average of 350,000 acre-feet of water to the US every year, measured across 5-year cycles. For a while, it worked, but then the climate began to shift. The droughts grew longer, reservoirs shrank, and when water ran short, Mexico struggled to meet its quota, creating what's known as a water debt. A shortfall meant to be repaid later. In recent years, that frustration has spilled over. Texas farmers accuse Mexico of withholding water, whereas the Mexican communities say the US is demanding more than the river can give. And caught in the middle is a system that was built for a climate that no longer exists. In late 2024, both countries signed a new agreement known as Minute 331, aimed at improving transparency, tracking water deliveries in real time, and investing in shared conservation projects. But even with better data and good intentions, the river remains stuck in a tug-of-war between politics, weather, and the hard limits of supply. And this is where things get even more complicated, because in much of the Rio Grande Basin, water rights still follow one simple rule: first in time, first in right. That means if your claim is older, even from the 1800s, you get water before someone who came later. And that includes cities, farms, and even entire indigenous communities still waiting for their share. Tribal groups like the Pueblos in New Mexico have lived by this river for centuries, but many of their water rights were never fully honored. Today, they're still fighting legal battles just to keep their lands watered and their traditions alive. And it's not just people who are paying the price. The river itself is suffering. In New Mexico, entire stretches have dried up in the summer. Native species like the Rio Grande silvery minnow are now on the brink. Angry farmers in Mexico even stormed La Boquilla Dam to stop water deliveries during a severe drought. Protests turned violent, and the reservoir became a symbol of national frustration. And today, this is what the Rio Grande looks like. In some places, it's barely a stream. In others, it's just a dry, sandy trench. The flow has dropped by more than 30% over the last few decades, and only a fraction of the river now reaches the Gulf of Mexico. Sections near Albuquerque regularly turn into cracked mud flats during summer. Major reservoirs like Falcon and Amistad, once reliable, are hovering near 25% capacity. In Laredo, Texas, officials are already hunting for backup water sources. Their main plan was to pump from a deep underground aquifer because the river can no longer be relied upon. The ecosystem is unraveling too. The Rio Grande silvery minnow, once among the river's most common fish, now survives in less than 5% of its historic range. In 2025, American Rivers named the lower Rio Grande the 5th most endangered river in the country, not because it's dying quietly, but because it's collapsing amid lawsuits, protests, border tensions, and a scramble for what little water remains. The infrastructure meant to manage it is aging and failing. Canals leak. Dams are outdated. Climate change keeps rewriting the script, with less snowpack in the mountains, longer dry spells, and rain that now comes all at once or not at all. And still, the river is expected to serve millions of people, irrigate vast farmland, and act as the liquid boundary between two nations. Every year, it delivers less, and every year, the pressure grows. But there's a silver lining to it. This mighty river has its own defenders now. In New Mexico, biologists are racing to save the endangered silvery minnow by literally rescuing them from drying riverbeds, relocating them to safer stretches upstream. In Taos and Albuquerque, there are projects to reconnect old floodplains, restore native vegetation, and bring back some of the river's natural rhythm. Local agencies and tribal communities are also pushing to reform how treaties are implemented, calling for more flexibility, more fairness, and more recognition of indigenous water rights. Groups like the Rio Grande International Study Center and American Rivers are demanding federal investment in habitat restoration, updated irrigation infrastructure, and long-term drought planning. Meanwhile, the International Boundary and Water Commission, the binational body that oversees river treaties, is trying to bring 20th century policy into the 21st century. They've launched new digital tools to track water deliveries, map ecosystem changes, and facilitate data sharing between nations. And in a region where mistrust runs deep and the river runs shallow, even small steps matter. Because Rio Grande isn't just another river in the country, it's a border you can't fence. So the question isn't just, can we fix the river? The question is, can binational cooperation rewrite the Rio Grande's fate? Or are we watching another waterway slip away, trapped under the weight of outdated rules and rising crises? Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.